Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Australian Gymnastics Championships 2025, coming to you live from beautiful Gold Coast, Queensland. And welcome also to my co-host who will be helping me through the live stream, Georgia Bonora, two-time Olympian in the women's artistics gymnastics. Georgia, let us in on what we're going to be seeing tonight in this event.
We are going to see some world-class gymnastics this evening. It is a very important competition, as usual, it being a national championships. But this competition is going to count towards World Champ selection in Jakarta later on in the year and Commonwealth Games 2026 Glasgow. It's very exciting, and I'm keen to see some amazing gymnastics.
That's right. We have Australia's best men's and women's artistic gymnasts on the competition floor. You'll be seeing them right now going through their warm-up and their final preparations, as it's called the one-touch warm-up. The athletes have just marched on the competition floor, and now they get to get on the apparatus briefly before the competition starts. Tonight, what medals are they vying for, Georgia?
So tonight is the team event, which is very exciting. Last year, Victoria in the WAG took out the gold, then Queensland in second and WA in third. And we're also looking at day one of the all-around competition, which is very, very exciting.
That's right. And for the men, we also have the team event, and the men's all-around event is only contested today in the one hit-out. So they will go across all six apparatus, and the total scores from all six apparatus will equal the all-around score for the men, and therefore we will find out who our all-around champion is for the men tonight. But the women's slightly different. They will contest the all-around championships across 2 days, today and Saturday evening, and then all scores counted from today and Saturday evening will tally up together, and the total of that will find who is Australia's best all-around female gymnast. All right, so as we can see on the competition floor, athletes still warming up. So, talk of the town, we had a late withdrawal in the women's division, Georgia.
Yes, we did. We're talking about Georgia Godwin. Yeah, unfortunately, Georgia Godwin is not here this evening, but we wish her all the best. And we're all very impressed with how she's been training and coming back from injury. It's always difficult to be coming back and seeing your teammates get out there, but we wish Georgia all the best, and we can't wait to see her out on the gym floor.
That's right, recovering from a ruptured Achilles tendon last year, which kept her out of the Olympic Games in 2024. She had made a comeback, competed recently at the state championships. It was great to see on the competition floor, but unfortunately has withdrawn from this weekend's event. So we wish her all the very best, and we hope to see her back on the competition floor in due course. So once again, athletes getting ready, warming up on the apparatus. So give us an athlete's perspective, Georgia. What are you feeling right now on the competition floor as an athlete?
Well, the 30-second touch is an important stage before a competition. It's where you really want to try and get in the best headspace possible to put out your best routine. You want to be as confident as you can. Sometimes a shaky touch can shake you up for that competition routine, but not always. The mentally tough ones can really stay focused. So we'll see how they go this evening. We see on beam at the moment, Megan.
Right, that's the men on Queensland, still finalising their preparations. Megan Kohler has started her beam routine in the background.
Thank you, Jim. This warm-up is now complete. Please prepare for competition.
That is it for the warm-up. And we'll be crossing over to the first athlete.
Just Ruby Pass, competing first on floor.
That's right, an absolute superstar, Ruby. making headway last year, qualifying for the Olympic Games as a 17-year-old, and then placing 13th in the all-round division, which is absolutely phenomenal, one of the highest places for an Australian athlete at the Olympic Games. And here she is, taking to the competition floor on the floor exercise. Georgia, take us through it.
She's very strong on this apparatus. Opening with a sky-high double Arabian, excellent solid land-in. Very controlled with her land-ins. She always seems to know exactly where she is. A nice, clean, simple layout. Beautiful Tuajede half there. As we know, artistry is very, very important in this new code. They're pushing it more and more. Lovely woof. Nice clean 1.5. And again, beautiful double tuck, very controlled landing. Easy peasy.
There you go, Ruby Pass from Queensland on the floor exercise. It is an interesting year for Ruby, a bit of a rebuild year after the Olympic Games. It's skill acquisition year, I understand, is that correct?
It can be difficult coming back from an Olympic year and putting out extra difficulty. You always need some downtime. You always need to have that time to recover, to recalibrate. But she's done an amazing job.
Here we are on the floor exercise. Young Queenslander Aiden Frick. Full in double back and sticks that beautifully into a side pass here. Double twist there and into his non-tumbling acrobatic skills there. Special requirement, the athletes must complete some non-acrobatic skills on the floor exercise. That's the male athletes. And they must also perform a scale. The new code of points, the new rules from the international committee means they need to perform a scale within their routine, and you just saw that one there.
Lovely.
2.5 twist. Makes his way to the corner. Double back to finish his floor exercise. Beautiful stuff there from the young Queenslander Aiden Frick. All right, it looks like we're continuing on the floor exercise with Adelaide Hopper.
Queensland. Beautiful choreo.
All right, we seem to be waiting for the next athlete to take to the beam here. So talk us through what the judges will be doing right now. They are working through the final scores. How do the scores get pieced together for the athletes?
So we have a difficulty score, which is all the elements added up, and we also have the execution score, which starts out of 10, and every mistake that they make, they get deducted from that 10, and then we put them together, and we have their final score.
Amazing. So difficulty is how hard your routine is. So the harder your skills are, that tallies up the best 8 skills of your routine. Get added up, and we are going to be starting over on the beam. Here we go.
Beautiful side aerial from Kate McDonald.
Next on the men's floor, representing
Kate's a very steady beam worker. Back handspring, back layout, beautifully done. No deduction, I'd say, if I was a judge. Front aerial, straddle jump, Corbett. That's a 3 connection series. Connections are very important in this code. We're looking for 3 connections to add to that difficulty score. Lovely wolf double right there. Oh, and a bit of hesitation there. I think she was going for another 3 connection series right there. A beautiful 2.5 twist dismount. Excellent landing. Great job, Kate.
Lovely to see there from Kate McDonald. Also on the Olympic team last year.
On the Olympic team last year, she was. She comes from CYC, coached by Jeb Silsbury. She got a gold and bronze at Doha in Croatia. World Cups earlier this year on bars. And she's going to the Uni Games at the end of this month, which is very exciting for Kate.
Fantastic. The World Uni Games are the second biggest multi-sport event behind the Olympic Games, and lots of athletes from all different countries and all different sports will be taking the competition floor there, which will be fantastic for our Aussie athletes to have another hit out on the international stage. I know myself, as being an athlete, we are or being a former athlete, should I say, not much of an athlete anymore, but being so far away from the rest of the world, it made it hard to get to international competition. So it's great to see that the athletes are getting this international experience and being able to compete at events like World University Games. For the major competitions such as the World Championships, as you mentioned, in Jakarta in October, this is the first time all the athletes have competed together from around the country this year. We had a few state championships, and we're just seeing a replay of the finish of the pommel horse there. The boys look happy.
Love to see them celebrating.
The Victorian boys always have such good camaraderie. They get behind each other, and it's really great to see that they're having fun on the competition floor. It can be a very tense sport, this one, and especially amongst the athletes and coaches. So trying to get that edge off and not be as tense and having a bit of fun on the competition floor is always good to see. So on screen at the moment, one of the coaches helping out and moving the apparatus, getting the width of those pommel horse handles a little bit wider and narrower. The athletes can choose what they want to do there, so that's what they're doing there.
All right, next up on beam, we have Brianna Scott, another Olympian from last year. Brianna came 12th at the Olympics on beam, 0.1 off finals. 0.1, which is amazing and frustrating, I would imagine.
Yeah, here she goes.
Very dynamic mount, good start. That's what you want when you're starting a beam routine. Solid round off layout, very clear layout position from her.
representing Queensland, let's welcome Alistair Hall.
Side aerial switch on. She's looking very strong, very confident, moving nice and quick through the beam. Front aerial. Here we have that wolf turn, which has been in fashion for quite some time, the wolf turns. A can't wait to see what sort of turns come out next. Again, we're looking for artistry on the beam. Beautiful connection there. She has beautiful lines, but she's also very strong and powerful, and that combo is not easily found. A nice solid front salt, a little bit of a step backwards on that. Beautiful round of double pike. One small step on the landing, but a solid routine from Brianna Scott.
Great to see, and just a reminder at home there, this beam is the width of your iPhone basically, and so the amazing athletes do such wild skills on the apparatus and so thin. And here we are on a replay on the floor exercise.
Lovely wolf turn.
And next on the women's floor, representing Western Australia, Emma Morris.
This is Summer Hill we've got here on floor. Doing a Tourgette half there. Nice 2.5 twist. A little bit of a leg separation. Building up for this last tumbling line. A nice double tuck. Beautiful ending there. She was working it towards the judges. That's what we like to see.
Summer Hill from South Australia. Emma Morris from Western Australia here.
Another Western Australian. Nice double twist there. A nice ending pose. Emma Morris on floor.
James Hardy.
Looks like we're sticking to the floor here with James Hardy from Queensland. Full twist into that double front and a couple of big steps, big deductions there. Can't hide those, but at least he did not sit down or put his hand on the floor, because that would be an even bigger deduction. Double pike forward, spots the landing better that time. Double twist. Once again, spotting the landing nicely. The wide arm press, or the Russian press as it's sometimes referred to. Bouncing around, and then you've got to calm your heart rate. Make sure you hold that handstand. Big deductions if you fall out of the handstand. And here is that scale I was talking to you about. It is a new addition to this code of points. It is a must for a floor exercise. A bit of artistry added back into that. Routine, 2.5 twist into the front.
Beautiful.
Layout. Combination bonuses when you just string two skills together like that. Double front Arabian to finish. Beautiful stuff there. All a solid routine, just that slight mishap at the start of the routine when he took those couple of big steps. But at least he saved that landing and did not put his hands on the mat.
Definitely, and the rest of his routine was looking good. Sometimes I can put you off a first tumbling line, having a mistake, but he held it together.
That's right, and most of this first rotation has concluded. We have one more athlete who will shortly be taking to the competition floor on the beam. Judges are still working through the score from the previous athletes. As we mentioned earlier, difficulty is your top 8 skills added together, and then your execution is the deductions taken from 10.0. And then add those 2 scores together and you have your final score. So it's a mix between going for the most difficult routine, but on the flip side, trying to execute it as well as possible. So we are staying on the floor exercise here. We have Eli Pullen from Queensland. Big double pike forward and sticks that landing beautifully.
Beautiful.
Nothing to duck there. Full twist into a front layout. Once again, connection bonuses do happen when you string those 2 skills together. Double twist. Here's an example where Eli's routine's a little bit more simple than James Hardy's, but the execution is there. He's got better execution, better landings, and so now it's going to be a trade-off to see who has the best score at the end of this.
Yeah.
Double twist forward. Although he is performing a Y scale to tick that box of the rules, he may not be counting that as one of his top 8 skills, because it is a very basic skill. Double Arabian to finish his routine. Beautiful stuff there from Eli, pulling the young Queenslander, starting his night very well. Nice Queensland contingent here. Coaches and athletes coming to congratulate Eli. And here's our last competitor on the floor exercise for round 1. Rotation 1, I should say. So Georgia, as we don't have any athletes on the competition floor, what is your favourite moment of your competing days?
Favorite moment. I would say the last routine of Beijing, of the last competition, all around finals, finishing a bar routine, knowing that I've gotten through each competition and didn't fall, stayed on my feet. It's a good feeling staying on your feet.
Fantastic. You're talking Beijing Olympic Games. You went to 2 Olympic Games. Which 2 did you end up going to?
Beijing and London.
London. Both amazing destinations to go to, and they both hosted a fantastic Olympic Games. Fortunately, I wasn't there in Beijing, but I was watching you in London, and you guys competed very well. So it was a couple of years that the women's team didn't qualify for the Olympics, and it was good to see the Australian women back at the Olympics in the team event last year, spearheaded by Ryu Cars from Queensland, and hopefully as they rebuild over the next 4 years after the Olympics, it's always a bit of an interesting time. Athletes will either take a year off, or they might retire, or they spend less time competing and more time developing the skills, as some of the senior athletes have let us know they're really focusing on this year. And it's an interesting one when you get to the World Championships at the end of this year. There's newcomers, or the old faces have taken some time off, or they've retired, and so this year after the Olympics, you just never know who's going to win. And if you're fit and you're doing your good routines there, then hey presto, you might find yourself in an apparatus final, or an all-round final that you weren't previously expecting. And so
yeah, it's a very interesting time, the year after the Olympics. It's a rebuilding phase for individuals, the countries. It's a planning phase. As we mentioned, there is that difficulty score, there is that execution score. It's a replanning phase to see which one, individually you're going to try and focus on. Where's the country at the moment? So it's very exciting, and it'll be interesting to see how the year plays out.
That's right, and for some of the top athletes, it's a year to rest. We see the likes of Simone Biles in the US. She'll take 2 years off after the Olympic Games. Won't do any competing, be training back in the gym, getting her body in top shape, learning a couple of new skills before she gets back out on the competition floor. And this is quite a demanding sport on the body at the lead end and the top end, like every sport is. And so having that time to really let the body heal and refocus your energy into learning those new skills, or just as an elite athlete, your mind is on sport non-stop. You can't get away from it.
Non-stop.
So You have an Olympics, you take a bit of time out, you spend some time with family and friends, and really regroup and figure out what the next 4 years are going to be like, and start building your goals from there. So
100%. And if there's anything that we have learnt from that COVID era, is that we can take some time off and we can regroup and we can be away from the gym, get back into it even stronger.
that's right. So we're just in between rotations here, waiting for the athletes to move from one rotation to the next. So aside from your favourite moment, what was one of your more challenging moments in your career?
Well, I'd say as an athlete, getting injured is always challenging. As we spoke earlier, we've got some of our top athletes at the moment taking some time off, recovering from injuries. And I would definitely agree that it is a very challenging time to try and get yourself back into the gym, doing whatever you can. Sometimes it can be a bit monotonous. It might not be the most exciting things that you can do, but getting your body back in there is very important, and it's challenging. And I really admire the athletes at the moment out there who are doing that and trying to get themselves back into the gym.
That's right, and as our coaches used to say, there's always something you can do in the gym. So whether you're nursing an upper body injury, you can do some training in your lower body, or a lower body injury, and you can train in your upper body. And there's been some great comebacks over the years from some of the athletes around the world in gymnastics and other sports from injury, and then seeing them get back to the top is always really exciting. So yeah. So that concludes our first rotation there. So there was a couple of delays and technical errors, but we hope that it gets better for the second rotation and get as many athletes on screen for you viewing at home. And while we do have a bit of time, we'd like to thank our broadcast partner, Sylvia Peak Teamwear, for helping put this broadcast, or this live stream on, I should say, as well as the sponsors of Gymnastics Australia special events merchandise. We'll have all the merchandise here across the next 2 weeks. ANCO, the equipment sponsor for Gymnastics Australia. The Australian Sports Commission, who always chip in to help out the athletes and the sport as a whole. The Australian Olympic Committee and the Commonwealth Games Australia, who also provide crucial financial support for sports like gymnastics and many other Olympic sports. So a bit of flurry of activity on the competition floor now, with athletes taking to their one-touch warm-up, as they do before at the start of every rotation. Getting used to the floor. It does vary from one competition to the next. I know myself personally, when I was competing, the high bar would be more bouncy in certain arenas, or if it was on a podium, it'd be less bouncy. And so you're trying to use this one-touch warm-up as a gauge of how high am I going to fly when I do my dismount or my release and re-grip elements. And so it's very, very crucial to have this one touch and to have it go right, because if you do slip off or anything, those last-minute butterflies can creep in. How did you used to contain the butterflies and the nerves when you were competing?
Oh, that's always a goal of any athlete, trying to contain those butterflies. But for me, I would get very, very talkative and talk to everyone I've ever met about nonsense. But yes, it is a very important 30-second touch, feeling out the apparatus. Not only does each apparatus feel different in each arena, but you also have your adrenaline pumping through those veins, and you want to try and control that and do a nice, normal routine that you do every day in practice, which is easier said than done sometimes.
That's right. Well, it is the hardest sport in the world for a reason. I certainly believe that the most challenging physical. There's so many different demands, whether being super strong or being super flexible and agile and nimble. all those different areas that you have to be able to put into one athlete, because every single apparatus is so different. Just for the men's, for an example, rings, you got to be very, very strong, but then on pommel horse, your shoulders need to be super, super flexible to get your hands behind together behind you when you're doing those circle elements. So it is really, really challenging, and a lot of respect for these athletes out there who dedicate a lot of their life to being the best gymnasts that they can. And it's not just the athletes. There's so much behind the scenes. You'd know your parents could be running around helping out, coaches, physios, the medical staff that all these athletes have as well. So, well, we do have the chance here. A big shout out to all the mums and dads out there who do the early mornings, the drive to and from training every week, and making sure that your little boy or girl is getting the opportunity to train and participate in this fantastic sport. It is one of the greatest sports for young developing bodies to do, and so well done to all the parents out there. So keep up the good work. And here we are on the pommel horse. It's a bit of a warm-up going on, last minute preparation. That's the Queensland team. Their coaches looking along eagerly. Once again, the coaches just ride the journey with you, don't they?
100%. Did you have a favourite apparatus when you were an athlete to compete? Did you have one that you would always get very pumped up for?
Yeah, I love training high bar because it was really, really fun. The releases and trying to catch the releases. Floor exercise was my favourite to compete. I was just good at it, and then sort of gravitated towards bouncing on the floor. Loved tumbling, loved the rebound elements of it, and just had really good aerial awareness, and so it just seemed to click for me. Least favourite, pommel horse. To stay on that apparatus, the one that's on screen now, that is one of the most challenging. Your shoulders come just outside of your centre of gravity, and there's just no way of saving it. How about yourself? Favourite apparatus?
Oh, I would say... All right, here we go in pommel.
All right, we're starting on the pommel horse from the young Queenslander, James Hardy. One of the up-and-coming athletes in the senior division.
He's an excellent pommel worker.
This is one of his strongest apparatus. Onto the one handle, so difficult to do. You can see his hands have to come together behind him every single time he's on the leather and onto the wood handle. So difficult. And up into the handstand dismount, which is also a requirement. And he finishes that nicely. What a relief.
We have a... just... We have a Yuchenko layout. Nice clean Yuchenko layout.
That was Adelaide
Hooper.
from Queensland. Jesse Moore just completing his vault there. It's a high five for the lads.
We have Summerhill about to compete on vault. Training in Western Australia with her coach Dana.
And first on the women's floor for Victoria, please welcome Brianna Scott.
Over the floor with Brianna Scott. Brianna trains Waverley Gymnastics Centre, Yusuf and John Hart. Beautiful double layout, excellent opening line. beautiful, clean double twist there. And as I said earlier, she's a very powerful athlete, but beautiful lines. There's that wolf double. There's a double leg up turn there. Very tricky to do at towards the end of a floor routine. Sky high double pike. Little adjustment on the landing, but all around a beautiful floor routine.
The artistry there to finish that floor routine as well. Very well done, Fiona Scott from Victoria. Olympian in the team last year as well.
Yes, one of our Olympians.
It's great to see that they're here on the competition floor for the young athletes watching along at home. To see these amazing athletes taking the competition floor and showing off the best gymnastics in the country. All right, Zachary Brotherton on floor here, starting off with a big double twist front layout. Spots that landing nice, maybe a small step. So we're crossing to Chris Ramkeys with a double twist. And then I'm not sure what happened in his second vault there, but he mistimed that completely.
But he's got a smile on his face.
A smile on his face. Returning to the competition floor after a couple of years off. It's good to see us having a good time returning with Zachary on floor here. Wide arm press, a little bit of a wobble there. Can really hit those 2 seconds stationary in the handstand.
Can you still perform a wide arm press, Tom?
No, that one's long gone. Finishing with quite a simple back tuck dismount. Sorry, not finishing, but quite a simple back tuck dismount. Double front, and unfortunately popping his hands down there and sitting on the floor. That is not a way you want to finish your floor routine. Unfortunately for Zachary Brotherton from New South Wales.
Over to vault, we have Ruby pass.
That's right, patiently waiting for the judges to deliberate the previous athlete's score. It is a very difficult job being a judge here. You're trying to get the difficulty, the execution together, and you're trying to knock it over in under a minute. And when the athlete's competing multiple skills like this, it can just seem like you need a little bit more time to get a score out. But we have Ruby now being given the green flag to take to the vault.
Yuchenko full twist. Yuchenko full twist. Nicely done. Little form deduction. But sky high, you know she's got more in her.
That's right. She has competed a double twist in that element, and I think training a 2.5 as well, so she definitely has more in her, but just choosing to do the full twist there tonight. Once again, she is definitely in a rebuild phase this year. Lots of new skills that she's been posting on Instagram, and she's learning, so it's fantastic. But taking it a bit easier here tonight. On screen we have James Bakuetti, one of the most powerful male athletes we have here. He is known for his vault, and hopefully we get to see that here shortly. He has some of the highest difficulty in the vault, and blink and you'll miss it. If it's double twist, if it's triple twist, it goes so fast you have to keep a close eye on how many twists he is going to be doing here. And then athletes who want to go for the individual final in the vault need to complete 2 different vaults, so from different family groups, whether it's a twisting forwards or it's a twisting backwards. It has to be 2 family groups, a forward or backward vault or a double salto vault as well. So
Next on the men's floor, representing
James
New South Wales, Joseph
taking
Norman.
to the floor exercise, narrowly missing out on a spot at the Olympics last year. But he is back here this evening. Handspring double front with the half turn. Low landing there, and unfortunately his hands did make contact with the floor, so that is a 1.0 deduction, the largest deduction you can get on the
Incredibly
device here.
difficult vault. We have on the floor Kate McDonald. You're watching a replay of her floor routine here. Again, Kate's shows quite clean lines on floor with her leaps, high execution. There's that wolf. It's a very nice leg up turn right there. A 2.5 twist right there. A little bit of a stumble on that landing. A little bit short there. But she was on her feet.
Good to see there on the floor exercise. Back to James Bacuetti's vault before a double front with a half twist. Absolutely wild. It's one of the hardest vaults you can compete. And it's great to see him doing that this evening. Hopefully he gets to execute it slightly better at the second day of competition on Saturday. And for those who are around the Gold Coast, do make your way down here to Carrara Indoor Sports Stadium to watch the gymnastics at 6 p.m. on Saturday. That's when the individual apparatus final will happen, and that's going to be a wild night. I think there's a few tickets left, lots of tickets sold, which is great to see. On Saturday night, 6 p.m. here in Carrara on the Gold Coast. So on to the parallel bars. And New South Welshman. Jack Hall. Onto the one bar there. Beautiful stuff. Catching that bar behind his back is so hard to know where that bar is. Place your hand and hope it's there.
And if it's not there, you'll know about it.
Certainly will. Ziamadov slightly short on that handstand there. The athlete's aiming to finish in the handstand position. Taking a quick breather into his double pike and beautiful landing there. There is a stick bonus in gymnastics in the new code of points, which are the international rules of the sport. A 0.1 bonus if you stick your dismount. It's a bit of a catch-22. Do you go for a more difficult discount, you get a high difficulty, or do you go for the stuck landing with a simple discount? There's the floor
routine. You have Megan Cora. Megan won the state championships this year. Took out the title. Nice double tuck there. Little chest low, a little bit on the landing there. There is our state champion from Victoria.
Beautiful stuff.
Up next on the men's floor, representing New South Wales, Lucas Ingersoll.
All right, Lucas Ingersoll on the floor exercise here. Apologies, we're staying on the parallel bars.
Now the boys can use chalk, water and honey, is that correct, Tom?
That's right. Lachlan Smith is going to be taking the parallel bars, and you use anything to hold on to these bars. They're bare hands. It's nothing but your skin on the bars there. So it's honey, it's water, it's chalk. It's a combination of all three. Whatever you can do to hold on to this bar. So you can see he's just getting his grip there. And as he swings up to handstand, beautiful mount with the parallel bars. Nails that handstand. And in bar, you see him flipping over here. Fantastic, catches that. Once again, a blind catch on the parallel bars with so many of these elements. There you go, catching behind the back. The heel he performed beautifully. Sticks to the one bar. Misses that handstand slightly. Winding up for the dismount. Here we go. Ooh, beautiful landing. Slight hop, so it doesn't get the stick bonus, but beautifully performed nonetheless.
Really bounced up that one, that dismount.
Lachlan Smith should be happy with that return from on the parallel bars. Great to see the boys getting involved there.
Over to beam. Back tuck. Solid legs on the landing. Changed leg. Not sure if we'll hit that full split on that one. That is a requirement, a full split. Back handspring, that's another requirement right there. Front walkover, little hesitation on that connection. And a round off back tuck dismount.
Fantastic to see there from Tasmania. Kira Harding.
Please welcome to the women's floor, representing Victoria, Ashley Bales.
And over to the floor exercise here.
Ashley Bales on floor. Nice double Arabian, open in line. Asha went to DTB, overseas competition in March. Trains out at Geelong YMCA by Rian. It's a leg up double turn. Came out a little bit early, not sure if that one will be paid. Nice clean double tuck. She has a really good sense of work in the floor in her choreography, which is very important in this code. You need to be making sure you move around, use all areas of the floor. Last pass here. Round off flip. Double twist. Little short. And a pike down on the landing, but she's on her feet. Well done, Asha.
Beautiful stuff. So the men's and women's floor routines are obviously very different. Women have music along with their floor routines, so it makes it a lot more exciting, a lot more artistry, a lot more dance involved. Where the men are more power tumbling, trying to get some big, powerful skills in there. And our routines are slightly shorter as well.
However, with that scale that's added, There's a bit more artistry added into the men's floor. I don't know if it's going to be too long before we get some music added.
That'll be a whole new challenge for the men's gymnast. I think the sport is already hard enough before we have to throw in some music on the floor exercise. But it would be fun to see.
Over to beam. Have Alexandra Kusuma. Future international under-14 athlete from Victoria. Front walkover, cartwheel, straight jump. That's the 3 series pass that is required in this beam routine. Preparing for those 3 series when they hit that senior level. Back handspring, another requirement. Change leg split jump. Beautiful straight legs on that one. Back tuck and just off the beam on that back tuck. A frustrating skill to make an error on. It's one of those skills where you can be either on or you're off. A little wobbly after that fall, but a nice round-off layout fall.
And next on the floor for Victoria.
Great job, Alex.
That's right. We have some of the younger future athletes, international athletes here, future international athletes, I should say, competing alongside the senior internationals, and it's great to see them on the competition floor, gaining valuable experience, competing alongside some of the country's best, and jump over to the floor exercise.
Amber Ward on floor. Double layout opening, a very difficult skill. Amber just did the championships in South Korea, competing for Hong Kong. Round off 1.5 punch front. Amber trains out at MLC, coached by Jackie and Taki. You can see her taking some breaths, preparing for this next line. Double pike, landing outside the floor. Great effort by Amber. Unfortunately, when you land your skill with your feet outside that line, that is a larger deduction than a simple step. But she put out some difficulty, which is great to see.
Fantastic, and he said she competed for Hong Kong earlier this year.
Hong Kong.
Amazing, and the international floor as well. From Victoria all the way to representing Hong Kong.
Here we have Tim Lees preparing for a floor routine. Coach at Trident.
Getting the mats ready. At these local events, we are able to use some of these mats for the softer landing. It does help with the ankles, especially when you are trying some newer skills in the routine for the first time. Safety is obviously paramount, so it's good to be able to see that they can use these mats here to stay safe. Not necessarily always allowed on the international circuit, matting like that. You can't put those on the Olympic Games, but...
No, but often at national championships we see mats, even over in the States. Want to make sure the athletes are staying safe, taking care of themselves.
That's right.
Last up on floor, we have Harriet Wingrove. Harriet trains at Trident Gymnastics with coach Tim Lees.
Tim Lee's a former MAG coach. He used to coach up at Chamber in Queensland when I was still a gymnast. Very,
Here we
very
go.
knowledgeable.
This is Harriet's first nationals back after some injuries in recent years. Let's see how she goes tonight. Another double layout open in, just a little bit short on that takeoff. So short on that landing. Very difficult pass. Front layout full. Great recovery. She's back on her feet. There's that wolf double. Staple in almost everyone's floor routines this evening. Change leg to a jeté. As we can see, she's spreading that leap line around the floor. Trying to use all areas of that floor. Preparing for this last pass. Nice clean layout. Loved the build-up of the drama from her music choice. Really pulled me into it.
She really went for that difficulty on the opening pass with the double layout there, and unfortunately didn't pay off. But it is a trade-off of going for the harder skills versus the simpler ones there, and just not her day on the floor exercises. That concludes our second rotation here at the Australian Gymnastics Championships. And as I mentioned earlier, the girls are competing in the senior international division as well as the future international, which is some of the younger athletes, the junior athletes, who will be working their way up to making the senior division in years to come. So our future of our sport in the women's division is on show tonight as well. Great to see. So athletes once again making their way on the competition floor with that one-touch warm-up.
And just a quick update on the MAG Senior International Competition. In the team event, after 2 rounds, we have New South Wales out in front with an 80.15 as a team score, and Queensland with 75.99. Close on their heels is South Australia with 75.95.
And we have the senior scores coming through for the men's division. The New South Wales team is currently leading with Queensland in second place. Close behind, and in the women's, it's Victoria is up top, and then New South Wales are in second place. Bit of distance between those two, but more scores are still coming in for New South Wales.
There's only one team out there at the moment from Victoria.
That's a very good point.
And they're coming first.
Well, they're taking
Good for
home
them.
gold tonight. So they will be certainly winning the gold this evening, the Victorian women's team. But it's still being contested in the men's division between New South Wales. Closer behind is Queensland, and then South Australia, which are 0.04 apart. So nothing in it in the men's division between second and third there. So once again, the world's hardest sport What did you find the hardest part about gymnastics? Was it an apparatus, was it a skill, or was it the travel, or what was the most challenging part of the sport?
For me personally, I believe one of the hardest things is, like you said, it's one of the hardest sports in the world, and it's quite intense. You compete at a competition, you might compete well, but then you got to get back in the gym afterward because there's always something that's coming up next, and the difficulty of training at an intense level for an extended period of time can be quite difficult to maintain. Like we mentioned earlier, after we've been through COVID, we've learned a lot. We know that we can have some time off, we can have some breaks, and we'll still be okay back in the gym. But that can be challenging, I think, with any, not even just gymnastics, any elite athlete, is keeping up that intensity.
That's right, and keeping that fitness you're trying to stay at the top level at all times is quite challenging. But that's for our most senior athletes, but the junior athletes have a bit more fun with it all. I still remember my favourite part of being a young athlete competing was getting to go to Sizzlers afterwards every single time. So that was a highlight.
For me.
McDonald's, whether I competed well or didn't compete well, we always made sure we had a good time, and the families would end up coming together and sharing a meal as well.
It's Mila Brown warming up on vault. Mila Brown, this is her first nationals after an ACL injury.
That's pretty
very unfortunate.
Knee.
So it's very exciting to see her out on the competition floor. Mila Brown trains at Waverley with Youssef Tapari and John Hart.
There you go. And that's one of the front entries there. She's doing a round-off or a cartwheel almost onto the board there. Called a Yushenko. We do talk a little bit about the different words that we use and different names. Tell me about the story behind all the names that we're talking about when the athletes are competing in those skills.
Yeah, a lot of the names for some of these skills are named after the gymnast who very first competed them on the world stage. Yuchenko, Tsukahara, Jaeger. A lot of these skills are named after those athletes from many, many years ago. And they're still very popular skills today. We can see them out there on the comp floor.
That's right. Any skills named after yourself, Georgia?
Any skills named after myself?
Yeah.
In my dreams. Tom, in my dreams.
It's kind of challenging to find new skills because the sport is so old that all these skills have been done before and named before. So trying to find something new to perform is very, very difficult. But there are some amazing athletes out there who come on the scene, like Simone Biles. She has a handful of new skills named after her, and she's an absolute superstar.
Yeah, she has multiple. A Biles 1, a Biles 2. Not certain how many there are, but more than one, which is outstanding. If we think about the amazing effects an athlete like Simone Biles has had on our sport, it's really amazing to see how international, not even just gymnastic fans, a layperson on the street has heard of the name Simone Biles, which brings so much more awareness to the sport of gymnastics.
That's right, and we've lost our having a few technical issues here, and we aren't able to see what's on screen at the moment. But we are on women's vault here.
This is Brianna Scott competing on vault. Very powerful vault worker. Up next on vault, you have Mila Brown. one half of the Brown sisters. Her sister, Romy Brown, isn't competing at this Nationals, coming back after an ACL injury.
Judges just getting their scores together.
Here we go. Miller Brown on vault. A very high Yuchenko full twist. You can easily tell that she's working on more than full. Hopefully we might see a double in there at some point. But very impressive vault, especially after coming back from an ACL injury.
That's right, and you spoke about Simone Biles recently, and she was a powerhouse in the vaults, competing in Shanko double pike, the only female and only a handful of human beings, regardless of gender, who competed that vault, and she was absolutely amazing at the Olympic Games, coming back after Tokyo, where she had a bit of a disappointing outing, and really cementing herself in the history books last year, performing the hardest skills that she can, and took home plenty of goals on rings here. The young Queenslander, Hayden Frick, have to catch those handstands without much movement. Any wobble will be picked up by the judges.
Next on the men's floor, representing Victoria, Tatiana Gilson.
Horizontal bar. Big release there, catching that to catching. Straight version, and here's a straddle version. Similar release, but performed differently. And that's how you build your difficulty. Winding up for this dismount, double twist. Small step on the landing. Beautiful stuff there by the New South Welshman, Logan Owen. Here, thumbs up. Happy days. Over to the floor exercise. The young Victorian, big double pike.
A bit of vault.
Finishing his routine.
We have Megan Kohler. Strong vault on her feet. What we like to see.
Got Ruby pass on the uneven bars here. Similar to the parallel bars, she's using some water there to get grip on the bars. Anything you can do to hold on when you are putting so many G-forces through your hands and through your shoulders. And a little bit of water there.
Now, Ruby has been working on some upgrades on her bar routine. See if she puts any in tonight. Just keeping that rhythm going. It's that low to high, sharp, straight into her release. Pack salto. Another sharp half. Clean toe fall. A little early on that dismount, but she's on her feet. Again, great to see her out on the competition floor after a huge year last year.
And a big trademark smile there to her coach, Misha, who has been on the Australian scene for a couple of decades, coaching many of the superstars, past and present. Cutting over to Heaththorpe on the horizontal bar replay here.
This is one of my favourite routines to watch.
Bringing the artistry into the gymnastics, big Jaeger to start the routine. In-bar elements are also important. Feet coming into that pike position close to the bar. Connecting that into a def. That's a 1.5 twist. Unbelievable, so difficult. Another connection there, scoop straight into the Jaeger full twist, building that difficulty, both of those connections. And into that dismount, winding it up. Big triple back and landing beautifully. That was a fantastic routine.
He's happy with that.
2 combinations in the routine, as well as a big dismount on his feet. He should be absolutely pleased with that.
We have Adelaide Hooper preparing the bar. Last up on bars. Can be sometimes a bit nerve-wracking being last to compete on an apparatus.
You got the longest wait between your one-touch warm-up and competing, and sometimes if your athletes or your team members before you, depending on how well they compete, can affect how well you compete. If they're having a few twitches or a couple of nerves, we've seen team events at the Olympics where some of the athletes, it'll trigger a bit of a snowball effect when one athlete's nervous and fall off the beam, then the rest of the team gets nervous, and so it is very, very challenging to try to keep yourself controlled and in tune on the competition floor with all of that going on around you, not to mention your own nerves. So
it's a mental sport, very much a mental sport as much as a physical one.
That's right. No second chances, no double faults, no redos in gymnastics. It's one go, and that is it. So she's waiting on the judges to finalise their score from the previous athlete. Even this weight can make it worse. And the standing on the competition floor at Commonwealth Games, it felt like an eternity just before my floor routine on finals, and I was so nervous. And the longer every second that went on, I got more and more nervous. Thankfully, I stayed on my feet and had a great routine. But here we go, the young Queenslander.
See that first flight element, that low to high, back to the low. That's what we're seeing a lot of at the moment in this code of points. Low to high, high to low. She's got some difficulty in this routine. A little bit of deductions here and there with form, leg separation. Again, like we spoke about, it's a balance between that difficulty score and keeping that execution score nice and high. But pushing that difficulty, you have to start somewhere.
That's right, on high bar here. Winding up. Big release here. That's Kovacs with a full twist. Goldman. It's a double back salto with a single full twist into the straddle to Kachev. Once again, a named release there. Need to perform an in-bar skill as well, where feet and hips come close to the bar, and there it is. And winding up for this dismount, double layout, double twist, slightly low, but recovers well on that dismount. And that is a Beautiful routine there for Jack Hall from New South Wales, the young New South Welshman. Slight difference between the men's bars and the women's bars. The men's bar is steel, a little bit more bouncy and thinner, and the women's bar is actually made of wood. It's actually well hollow and then coated with wood. A little bit less bouncy and a lot thicker as well. It's a lot harder for your hands to grip onto that bar.
Oh, they feel very different.
Plus, you have a second bar. It's kind of hard to be swinging around the high bar when there's a low bar, testing your toes and make sure you don't want to collect that on the way through. Going to be sticking here at the high bar with Lachlan Smith. They're going to have to wait until Jack Hall's score does appear. The judges are finished with that. It is a very interesting sport with so many events going on at one time. Very difficult for our team here to make sure that we are getting the right athletes at the right time and trying to catch all the action and present the best routines to you. At the moment, when we're looking at the competition floor, not one athlete is taking the competition floor right now. All are waiting for the judges to put their score up from the previous athlete. So it's a little bit hard here for us to show you live footage when nothing's happening. We're waiting for those judges. They are doing their best. They do have a tough time getting the scores out in a short time.
It's a tough job, tough job. All eyes are on you. You don't want to make a mistake. Similar to the gymnast. Here we have Annika on the balance beam. A young future international athlete from Melbourne Gymnastics Centre in Victoria.
Next on the floor for Tasmania, please welcome Kira Harding.
She's moving nice and quick, looking very confident, and that can be a trick sometimes on beam. Sometimes you might not feel confident, but if you look it, it's definitely going to help your skills and how you perform them. Change leg split jump. Nice back salt there. Comes this acro series. Back handspring, back handspring. A little bent knees in those flips there, but not a lot of wobbling. With a nice high round off back tuck.
Beautiful. Stick bonus for that one.
Stick bonus.
It's amazing to see these athletes doing these flips on this tiny beam, 10 centimeters apart. Unbelievable. Watching some live footage here on the horizontal bar. Just catching the end of Lachlan Smith routine. Big dismount there.
Stick bonus.
Beautiful. Like I was saying, this event is so difficult to capture all the live action with so many athletes going on at once, and then all of a sudden it's quiet. No athletes are taking to the floor, so we do apologise that there is a bit of in-between footage here and capturing the athletes or waiting for the judges to finish up, but most of this rotation is done. We have one more athlete on the horizontal bar before we can move on to rotation 4. Renata Cabella from New South Wales. Just going through his final preparations there. Mentally working through that routine in his head. And I remember when I was competing always trying to tell my body what to do, all those small cues, whether it's hips up, heels over, whatever it is, just 2 words maximum, cues one after the other to make sure I can tell myself what I'm doing from one skill to the next. One of the key things that always helped me is take it one skill at a time, try not to focus on the whole routine as one, just approach one skill, next keyword for the next skill, keywords for the next skill, be able to work through that routine one skill at a time. Back in the olden days when I was competing, we still had the 10 skills, which changed after the last Olympics, and trying to remember all those cues and remember everything from the start to the finish became a bit of a mental education as well, you know, working through the routine in my head, one skill after the other. Used to work through that mental training as well as the physical, and the older I got, the body got a little bit sore, so the physical training came down a little bit and the mental training went up a little bit more. And it was actually interesting towards the end of my career how I would be able to train less and still perform just as well, and it wasn't needing to do every skill 3-4 times. If I could tell myself I'm going to do it in one go and I'd make it, then I got very confident knowing that, okay, as I need to do it, I can perform it. And here we go, Hinata on high bar.
Very strong athlete.
Very difficult there with the one arm. It's hard enough to hold on with 2 hands, let alone one. Into the stoop half. Into the in-bar element. They also need to perform a release element. And here we go. The stretch did catch him, and unfortunately just pushed a little bit far over the bar and missed that one there. So the difficulty when you miss a release is that the release doesn't count, so you lose your difficulty bonus for the skill, and then you also have to cop a 1.0 fall deduction. So a fall like that overall is going to cost him 1.4 from his score. So
it's a big blow.
It is a big blow, and when you're competing in an all-round event like tonight, and you're trying to do every single apparatus, you could have one apparatus cost you the whole all-round. So difficult stuff there. We'll see if he's going to repeat this skill or if he's just going to move on to the next one. Winding up, and oh no, unfortunately he did go for it, which is courageous and good on him, but missed that one there as well, and straight on the belly there.
We've all been there where you've gone for it just one more time
and then it just doesn't pay off, but good on him for giving it a go. And luckily tonight is not a qualification for Saturday night, so he can still compete on high bar on Saturday night, and hopefully has a bit of a better night there. But it's not good for the team this evening having a fall. Generally, you put your best apparatus specialist on at the end of the rotation, so you build up from your, I guess, weakest gymnast up to your strongest gymnast on that apparatus. So trying to bring home a team, and unfortunately having 2 falls is not going to do that. Beautiful stuff there. Jeez, that gets some work to those shoulders. Double twist at the end, almost sticks it, but unfortunately those 2 falls are going to cost him dearly, and he will not be happy with that one, but still manages to smile, and yeah, plenty to think about. All you can do is learn from it. That's what our coaches used to tell us from any competition. Any mistakes he made, all you can do is take it home and then learn from it. So
every competition you take something away.
That's right. Hopefully a gold medal.
Hopefully a gold medal, exactly. It's interesting, the MAG athletes do amazing flight elements on that high bar, but I find that one-arm giant just breathtaking.
Yeah. It is super hard to hold on. Next time you go to the playground, swing on one of those monkey bars and see how easy it is just to hang on one arm, let alone swing around the bar. So there we go, and that winds up our second rotation, I believe. Third rotation. That's right.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's right. So that takes us on to our 4th rotation now. What's the highlight there? I think I'm going to have to say Heath Thorpe's high bar routine was a bit of a highlight there. The 2 connections.
It was lovely.
Massive triple back dismount there. The crowd favourite.
Here we go. Coaches preparing the bars. Chalking up that bar.
That's right, and those coaches do ride the journey with all the athletes. Every early morning, every late night, all the tours there as well, putting in just as much work as the athletes.
We can see Kate McDonald there with her headphones, and it's interesting to think each athlete has their own things that helps them in competitions. Stay in the zone, get into that flow state.
Stay calm.
Stay calm.
That's right, I was similar to you. I used to talk a lot. Hence why I'm here tonight.
Bother all our teammates.
Yeah, exactly. Anything to get your mind off what's happening. And,
anything.
Talking, listening to music, a lot of pump-up music before getting to the competition venue. There's a certain tension in the competition floor during the warm-up, and you can see the athletes who are really nervous, or the ones who are been around the competition scene for a number of years, very relaxed, a bit more playful and having fun with it all. And I always admired those athletes who were just so calm,
collected.
We used to compete with world champion Philippe Rizzo, an absolute great of the sport in this country. He was so calm and nothing would faze him. And I competed with him at a few world championships. I was a junior, first world championships. Just calm as anything. Used to muck around, play around, and it was actually good to get the nerves down. But I'm like, how can I be like that? But
he was an amazing competitor in that infamous 2006 World Championships. He took out that gold.
That's right.
My memory of Phil is with his guitar in between routines, in between training sessions. Strumming along.
That's one way to keep the nerves down, but yes, we were both fortunate to be there in 2006 when he won the gold medal on the horizontal bar. Still one of the greats of the sport in this country. There you go. Coach is helping out with those final preparations. I didn't actually realise how low that low bar is to the ground. Yeah,
it's quite low, and you don't want to hit your feet on it, and that can be quite a common error, especially in that low to high, high to low combo that we're seeing a lot of. You want to make sure that you're hitting the angles exactly right so you can clear that kip on the low bar and not hit the ground.
And sometimes you see the athletes hit the ground, completely ruins their momentum, and it's hard to keep picking the momentum up for your next skill and next skill. Like you said, that flow that you want to have from the start to finish your bars routine. You want to keep that moving nicely.
Bars is all about rhythm, all about keeping that steady rhythm from start to end, and the best athletes are the ones that might lose it a little bit, but are able to bring it back mid-routine. There's that low to high.
And that's a special requirement. Athletes have to go low to high with an element in between, or?
Sorry, Tom?
Do athletes need to do the high to low connection or low to high connection? Is that part of the special requirements?
Yes, a high to low requirement is part of what's needed on bars. But what we're seeing a lot is in this new code is the combinations and the combo bonuses.
Between the high and low.
Between the high and low, low to high.
There's a lot more flight elements in bars in this more recent code of points.
It's a lot more flight elements, and now there's rules where you need to change the element that you use for these flight elements. For example, if you use a toe-on to do a toe-on shup, you can only do a certain amount of toe-ons before you need to change elements.
That's where your feet touch the bar and you swing around.
Feet touch the bar, you swing around.
And then
exactly. Sound like my dad.
Bar. Yes. I'm glad you're here to help with the women's information.
Again, as we mentioned earlier, the equipment feels very different from arena to arena, from competition to competition. Coaches need to help the athletes prepare the bars, get the tension just right, So the tension is different. If it's changed, it can change the feel of an entire bar routine.
That's right. And the other thing with the women's bars, at the bottom there's actually no mat, which is kind of scary. There's no 10 centimetre soft mat as well. With a
No.
10 centimetre soft mat and sometimes a double mat as well. So courageous athletes out there on the competition floor.
No, and the women's bar routines are getting more and more difficult. As you said, we're seeing a lot more flight elements. So could be interesting to see if they add a mat in there eventually in those big code of points in the rule book.
And that's right, in the training venues you've got mats and soft stuff everywhere, so needing to learn these skills before taking the competition floor, using all those soft mats and pits. But here we are, we're starting on the uneven bars.
Brianna Scott. See that focus. A little short in that first handstand.
30 seconds remaining.
Nice piked Jaeger. That's that high to low, pack salto. Good sharp. Nice blind full. Again, lovely lines. And a double layout, full twist, straight up and down landing. Beautiful dismount.
Beautiful.
I feel like there might have been some elements missed out in that bar routine. She might have done that on purpose. It could have been a plan that she's made with her and her coach. But all around, it was a beautiful routine. Incredible dismount. Stick bonus.
Beautiful. Sometimes athletes would do that in the all-around event, compete slightly easier routines to make sure that they have a solid all-round score, and then on the apparatus finals put those extra skills back in and really go for the individual apparatus gold. So a bit of gamesmanship as well on the competition floor when needed, and the more experienced athletes will be able to change routines from one day to the next quite easily.
We have up next on bars, we have Megan Kohler. You can see Coach Jeb Salisbury there. Been around for a while. Very experienced, knowledgeable coach.
So some athletes use the beat board to jump onto the bar, and even bars, and some athletes choose not to, and that's just purely preference, no requirement there.
That is complete preference. Generally, you'll see athletes using a board on that high bar as they tend to be vertically challenged. But it is completely up to the athlete.
And that is a fine move from the coach there. They need to get that board out of the way quick smart as the athletes begins their routine. Would not want to ruin an athlete's day by forgetting to pull the board out. That would not be ideal.
Not ideal.
So the athlete will wait here, and you'll see one of the judges raise the little green flag, and that's a signal that you've got 30 seconds to get started on your routine. And sometimes the judges can be slow, but sometimes they can be too quick, and you make your way up to the uneven bars or the apparatus, whichever one it is, and all of a sudden the arms up in the air, and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm not ready to go. Here we go.
Ready to go. Here you go with Megan. A huge Jaeger there, a huge pike Jaeger, just a little early on the release, and unfortunately just missed that catch.
It's all about timing, millimeters and milliseconds. A little bit more of a heel drive would have given her that extra height, being closer to the bar. And the result is, unfortunately, she missed that Jaeger. Lucky Jeb was there to catch her and slow her fall on the way down.
You've got to have fast reflexes as a coach, be able to jump in if you needed. There's her low to high, toe on sharp, overshoot, straight to shoot to high bar. A little laboured with that kip on the high bar, but she got the handstand. The blind fall. She's pushing through. And she's on her feet with that double tuck dismount. She fought through that bar routine. Like we said earlier, bars is about rhythm. Her rhythm went a bit up and down there, but she pushed herself through.
Very good stuff. So it looks like we are sticking to the uneven bars here at the moment. Hopefully you will see some other apparatus in this rotation.
All right, next up on bars, we have Amber Ward, the Coach Taki there.
Victoria, please welcome Suhana Ahmed.
That's right. And what do you miss most about the sport? It's been since, what, 2012? Jeez, we're getting old, aren't we? What do you miss most about the sport?
It's a difficult question. I loved the feeling of standing in the corner of the floor, taking a deep breath, about to do a big tumble pass. The pre-tumble pass breath, I called it just now.
Anything to get the heart beat under control before you start routines. I think that feeling of being on the competition floor is, you just can't replicate that. The mix of nerves and fear and excitement. I think outside of the competition arena, I've never been able to replicate that. And a teammate of mine, Sammy Offord, one time looked at me at the World Championships, and I was still a young fella then and nervous, and he goes, "Don't you just live for this feeling?" I felt like I wanted to tell him where to go, but reflecting now, that unique feeling was something that you just can't replicate. And those feelings, you're so terrified, but you're so excited to go out there at the same time, and the butterflies are going all over the place. And that was one of those feelings I think I miss now, but probably at the time dreaded a little bit.
100%. It's a complicated relationship with nerves.
That's right.
They're needed.
Next on men's floor, representing New South Wales, Jack Hall.
Here we have vault. Was it Sukahara layout? A little short on that landing. We haven't seen many Suks tonight. It's a very difficult vault. You need to be very strong and powerful.
You see some lines on the ground there as well, so there are train tracks on the vault as such, painted on the ground, and the athlete needs to land inside those train tracks, land outside of those train tracks. It's like landing outside the floor lines, and so that attracts a further introduction. And she stepped sideways there, the young New South Welshman.
Over to bars. Amber's still waiting. You can see her shoulders go up and down. We can see her taking some deep breaths, trying to stay as cool, calm, collected as possible.
And here she goes.
Toe full. It looked like that was supposed to be connected immediately to that toe shap into that pack salto. Another shap half, which I believe is called the Maloney. Nice Jaeger there. In a nice clean layout dismount. Playing it safe with that dismount, but there was a lot in that routine. Performed well.
That's
Connection
right.
missed, but on her feet. We see Victoria from Victoria.
Well, they missed the routine, but we're seeing the height. Love it.
It's a great vibe over there. Supporting each other, high fives. Here on floor routine.
So I have a replay coming here on the horizontal bar. In-bar element, so tough on the shoulders. Once again, extreme flexibility these athletes have. Winding up. There we go, beautifully caught. That's a catch of. Beginning to get the swing right and the timing right. And it was a beautiful job on the horizontal bar. Lachlan Davis from South Australia.
Jessie
Straight
Moore.
into Jessie Moore's high bar routine. Another replay, the best athlete, and he misses that. Unfortunately, swinging the wrong way. That tracks the deduction. Best athlete from the Olympic Games last year. Big to catch it straight into the ginger. Beautiful combination there. Combination bonus as well to help your difficulty score. Winds up into a Coleman and absolutely misses that. He was reaching for the stars with his hands there. Unfortunately, didn't get his eyes on the bar early enough and couldn't catch that bar. 30 seconds to get back onto the apparatus to finish his routine. He went for it again and unfortunately misses that one a second time. So not the greatest night for Jessie Moore. I was just watching him at the state championships in Queensland when he came up to do a bit of an exhibition, and he absolutely nailed this routine. And not his night tonight.
Usually quite a consistent performer.
One of the most consistent performers, and that's what secured his ticket to the Olympic Games last year, where he also made the all-round final. Into the dismount, big double-double. Spotted that one, but unfortunately, a couple of falls in that routine did not help him. Over to Victor Beatoncourt. In bar, straight into his release, big wind-up, executed perfectly. And the same release, but adding a full twist in there, even more difficulty. He loves his releases. Unfortunately, lost a bit of swing there and couldn't make it over the bar. It looked like he was fine, but just missed that. And definitely missed that with one hand. The fatigue just got the better of young Victor there.
Over the beam. Round of flat, full dismount. I'm a Queenslander.
Just looking at the competition floor, a bit of a shrug of the shoulders as she walks over to her coach. And bit of a soft high five. Definitely disappointing finish to her beam routine. And the women only compete in 4 apparatus, so they are finished for the night after this rotation. And then we'll have 2 more. Well, basically you can go home then and I'll just finish the last 2 rotations on my own. Now you'll hang around. Plenty of insights from 2-time Olympian. How good. Lucky to have you here tonight.
When you used to compete, Tom, did you ever look over at the women athletes who used to finish their competition hell of a lot earlier than you?
Yes, I did, and I just couldn't figure the maths. 6 and 4, 10 apparatus in total. Let's just split it in the middle. The women can have pommel horse.
No, thank you. We have the balance beam. You can take pommel horse. You can keep that one.
Fair's fair. Yeah, no, it's It definitely has its challenges with the 6 apparatus. So much skill development across each apparatus. So that's why we start. I think I started when I was 5 or 6. When did you start gymnastics?
Yeah, around 5 or 6. It's a young sport. Great for developing kids.
That's
Here we
right.
see Lucy Stewart waiting for her beam routine.
The judge is about to raise the green flag and let Lucy start her routine.
And Lucy, again, competed in the DTB competition in March. Got a silver medal on bars at that competition. Very consistent, has competed Junior Worlds, Uni Games. Looking pretty confident on the beam so far. Beautiful wolf triple, a very difficult turn. Solid punch front. There's back handspring, back layout, step out. There's that composition requirement there. Change leg, change half. Looks like that was supposed to be connected, but sometimes it can be a better move to break that connection rather than continue on if it's a little bit off and falling off the beam. She's got a lot in this beam routine. Again, it's about balancing that difficulty score and execution. And she's doing a pretty great job so far. Round off, layout full, nice, clean dismount. Great job, Lucy. You can see the relief on her face as she walks over to her coach.
That's another feeling I miss, hitting a good routine. So happy.
The relief. I'm sure the relief after hitting pommel is very similar to the relief after hitting a beam routine.
I can imagine.
We have on floor Annika from Melbourne Gymnastics Centre in Victoria. Front salt, punch front salt. You can see the trajectory of these future international athletes.
That's right. And as the music begins, that means we have one more competitor, Heathorpe, on the floor exercise. Absolutely known for his artistry. Beautiful double pike there. Nails that landing. Sky high. It's so hard to land facing forward because you spot the floor so late. If you're doing a back salto, you can see the floor in the air and you can catch the landing, but he spots those front landings with ease. Case in point right there.
Heath's got a beautiful balance of high difficulty but beautiful execution.
That's right. He's a little bit short in that handstand in terms of the angle of his body, but as long as he held it for 2 seconds, that's the main thing. Winding up, double Arabian with a half turn out. So it's 2 saltos backwards with a full twist of the body. And double pike dismount.
Double pike.
Beautiful floor routine there. I think he will be happy with that one. Helping contribute some big scores to the team. So the women's event for this evening has concluded. They are all done and dusted, and no surprise, the Victorian women's team took out the gold medal.
Congratulations, Victoria.
1 from 1. There you go. But the Victoria Futures team also took out the gold in front of New South Wales women's future team. So there we go. And we have one final competitor for New South Wales on the floor exercise who will be coming up shortly. Hinata Kabeya didn't have the greatest horizontal.
New South Wales, Hinata Kabeya.
Didn't have the best horizontal bar routine, but hopefully can pick it up here on the floor exercise. Double pike, similar start to the Heath. Beautifully spotting his landing. Double back with a double twist. Minimal deduction on that landing too. Beautiful stuff there. Just a double twist down the side. Combining the 2.5 back twist into that front lat, fighting for that landing.
It's looking pretty clean so far. It's come back with a vengeance.
Beautiful artistry there as well. I must have in the men's floor routines these days. Winding up. Double back with a full twist and nails that perfectly. And lovely way to finish that routine and that rotation for the men as well. And that concludes our fourth rotation. Plenty of high fives, plenty of hype there, which is beautiful to see amongst the men's division. So plenty of men's gymnastics coming up for the next two rotations as the women have finished for now. For this evening, their floor apparatus are done and dusted.
Still some amazing gymnastics to go. So sit tight.
Don't go anywhere. Some beautiful footage there from our live stream partner Sylvia P Teamwear, making the greatest leotards in the world. Although the leotards are all the same as they compete for the team tonight, but on day 2 of competition, the men's and women's individual apparatus finals, the athletes are allowed to wear unique leotards that they get to either design themselves or come up with themselves, and so a bit more individuality on the second day, and the competition floor looks a little bit more sparkly and a lot more colourful. And I know there's going to be some bright leotards on the competition floor on Saturday night. If you are on the Gold Coast and you are looking at watching some of this gymnastics live, Saturday night is the best event for the artistic event to come to. 6 p.m. on Saturday night here at Carrara Indoor, the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre in Carrara on the Gold Coast. So be sure to come down and watch some live gymnastics action. And here, the parallel bars on screen is one of the more difficult ones to warm up. once again, we spoke about the honey and the water and the combination of chalk to be able to grip. But when you're trying to warm up, you can't spend all the time getting the bars ready, and so it becomes a bit more of a helping each other. When you're on that team competition, you'd sort of grip up the bars between one athlete and the next athlete and try to help them out as much as possible so you can move through the warm-up as much as possible. We're a bit fortunate here in Australia. The judges won't be too harsh on it, but on international competitions, the judges are very strict with their time, and they need to keep these competitions moving. And if your team takes too long in the warm-up, well, then the whole team gets a big deduction. So, and unfortunately, it's generally the first athlete that gets deducted. So if your team's slow and warming up, the first athlete cops the deduction on behalf of everyone else. So the athletes do work together quite strategically in that warm-up and the parallel bars at an international level. But here the judges give the athletes enough time to prepare. Teams are a little bit bigger domestically than internationally, so they need to give them a bit more time to get ready. But you can see some of the athletes will be gripping up the bar in one area as another athlete's gripping up the bar in a different area, so they can get a feel of the equipment before they take to their routines.
It's important to practice that process of preparing the apparatus because, as you said, it does become it's a speedy exercise, and it almost becomes choreography when you work with your team to prepare the apparatus. You only have a certain amount of time. You don't want to lose any deductions for anything like that before you even present it to the judges.
That's right, and when I used to compete in the team, we actually would train the warm-up section of the parallel bars to get it all done in that 3-minute time, and it was choreographed. We'd know exactly who's chalking up which side of the bar and honeying up which side of the bar, all helping each other to the point who's holding the chalk bucket, who's holding the honey, and everyone had a job between the athletes and the coaches to get it all right. The parallel bars also get wider and narrower, so the athletes can choose the width of the bar. So that adds a whole another complexity. So one athlete's warming up, as soon as he touches the ground, you'll see coaches run in, change the width of the bar so they're further apart from each other, so the next athlete can go. So it was very choreographed at the highest level. And the more you compete with the same team over and over, the easier it gets. And
the more you know each other as well,
right.
The more you know how each other likes their bars prepared.
That's a skill in itself, but we are starting with Jack Reek on the parallel bars. First up from Queensland, a gentle little kick swing to handstand there. Starting that Healy. Into a Felga, that one's called. Unfortunately, every time you do take a step in handstand, you will be deducted. Held, beautifully caught there. And into that dismount. I'm still getting used to these short routines. It's just, I'm used to having the extra skills, but all of a sudden,
on and off.
dismounts, here it is. And so, beautiful routine there from Jack Reek. He's been around on the scene for a number of years. Very, very consistent and a very good teammate to have. And now the judges getting to work putting this score together. You will see a vault in the background if you do watch closely. A front layout. Managed to get that one around. Beautiful stuff. That is such a hard way to land when you're facing forward and you're flipping over the top of your feet. You just can't spot the landing. You just hope you got yourself in the right place to plant those feet on the ground. And if you catch short, you're sitting on the floor in no time. So, hard one there, but performed nicely. Matthew Davis on screen waiting for the judges to finalise Jack Reek's score. He's going through his mental preparation. It's a bit of swing in the arms, moving around. But we do have Olympian Jess Moore standing in the corner ready to prepare for his floor exercise. A bit of extra chalk, a bit of extra grip on the feet.
I've noticed the men's the men's athletes often put a lot of chalk on their legs because they're doing such difficult skills. They're spinning so quickly. You want to make sure that hand doesn't slip, do you?
That's right. So you'll be grabbing onto your shins to do all those front saltos. And if your hand slips off your shin, your salto will open up into a stretch position. You won't rotate as fast and unfortunately won't get it around onto your feet. But Jesse is a very smooth operator. And you're in for a bit of a treat here. Double twist into the double front. Big combination. D plus D, so 0.4 plus 0.4 in the combination in the middle, increasing that difficulty. That was 2.5 twists. If you miss it into a front layout.
You can see how fast he's spinning. You can see why he needs that chalk.
That's right. Doing some flares there, up the handstand and back down. That also builds difficulty.
And also impresses the ladies.
You said it here first. You said what I was thinking. There it is, the scale.
Can you still whip out a flare?
Negative. Double twist, spots the landing. Just see he's got his eyes on the ground as he comes down for that landing. Oh,
wow.
Nailed it. I told you we were in for a treat. And Jesse Moore from South Australia delivers on cue.
One of the most difficult skills to stick, a double Arabia, not only in the routine, at the end as well.
That's right. And here is Mitch Morgan, the statesman of the competition here. And you've got to think about how fit you were when you were 30 years old. And there's Mitch Morgan's. He's pushing that number, and he is still on the competition floor. And having a chat to him before the comp, I spoke about the new code of points and the skills that they have to perform in. He said moving from 10 skills to 8 skills has just been a blessing for him. It means that he can almost shorten his routine and make it easier, and he can still get his high difficulty. So it's made his life easier. It means that athletes staying around the sport a bit longer if it can get that little bit easier.
And that's what we like to see.
That's right. And I think globally as a sport, it's hard to know why the FIG makes the changes. As an athlete, you just hope they don't make changes that don't go in your favour, because they can change all sorts of rules. But I think one of this is to ensure the athlete's safety. I think reducing those routines, they started getting longer and longer, more difficult and more dangerous. So I think this is a good move from the FIG to bring it down to 8 skills as Mitch Morgan starts his E-bar routine, and this is one of his favourite apparatus. Felger half turn, beautiful. Straighten off Felger with no turn. Giant Diamondov into the giant. Once again, 4 underbar skills, just testing that grip. Healy catching that blindly, very nice. Here we go into his dismount. Oh no, quick stutz. And then into his dismount. Oh!
Lovely routine.
Fix that dismount. Beautiful stuff. Like the postman, he delivers as he needs to. And he's happy about that, and so are the boys. There he is, Big
getting
John
around
Curtin.
him.
One of the coaches there getting around him. Beautiful stuff. Mitch Morgan has been on the scene for a number of years. Commonwealth Games medalist, multiple World Championships. And it's great to have that experience on the competition floor. He is only doing a couple apparatus, the parallel bars and the horizontal bar, but great to see that he is here and taking the competition floor. And a replay here on the pommel horse. Jose making light work of that one handle there. Have to travel from one side of the horse to the other side of the horse. They can choose to use the handle like he's doing that Savato, or just go straight over the top and into that Wendy swing. And over the top, and a stumble there. He just completely missed the side of the mat. Unfortunately, pommel horse is one of those apparatus normally where you get a stick bonus every single time. But he overshot that landing, caught the edge of the mat, and unfortunately had to take a step. And here we go, we've got the boys, 3 coaches in there as well, helping out to get this bars set up at the right width. A lot of trust there, because if they get that wrong, you can ruin your P-bar routine completely.
You want to make sure it's set up exactly right.
This is one apparatus where you're happy that the judges take their time. Like, slow it down, take your time. They're going to prep the bars. The worst apparatus to be caught. The judge puts their hand up. The judge puts his hand up, the green flag, and you've got honey on the bars with no chalk. You'll just slip straight off it. So you're just hoping that you can get as much chalk on there in 30 seconds before you do start that routine. Just another complexity of this amazing sport that these athletes do. Checking his grip in a couple of locations where he's going to be hanging from the bar. Final prep. And the green flag has gone up.
Here we go.
Alistair from Queensland. Starting with a Moi. Once again, named after the athlete that first performed it. I'm guessing he's going to go into a Tapel here. There's a giant first, and here is the Tapel. Catching that one, unfortunately, caught his finger there. I think he is alright. I think he just caught his finger on top of the parallel bar. Bit of a jar to the finger, just to make it not even worse. Copying that fall, like I said, 30 seconds on the clock for the athlete to present to the judges and start their routine again. So the athletes are able to continue from where they finished off. So he's making his way back up, and the routine starts from now. Unfortunately, took a step there. He's going for it again. Good to see him.
Excellent.
Perfectly executes that one. Double front dismount, super hard, but once again, lands that one. He is not looking happy with that, but understandably having to cop that fall.
I would imagine a lot of finger injuries on that apparatus.
There's so many blind catches that, yeah, it does happen. And over to the pommel horse, Hanata Kabea from New South Wales. Starting with those scissor elements, as we call them. And this is called a circle. Could have been a bit more unique, but the circle, round they go, onto the one handle, and this is where it gets difficult. So little space to place your hands, and once again, you can't see where you place your hand behind your back. You're just hoping that hand is in the right place, or feel and instinct. Like a cat, straight up to handstand, and on his feet. Beautiful. I think one of the other things I found hard about competing was the up and down of the evening. You compete, you'd have a bit of a high, you'd have a rest, your body starts cooling down, you've got to wait for everyone else to compete, rotation to finish, move on to the next apparatus. How did you keep yourself going throughout a competition?
It's difficult to keep yourself going with a stop-start. It's you got to try and maintain your focus the entire competition, which is why when the competition finishes, you often crash. But that's one of the things that you have to practice as an athlete, trying many different strategies to get yourself going. Like I mentioned earlier, would be a chatterbox and keep talking through exactly what I was doing.
That's right. All right, James Hardy on. Sorry, we are jumping over the horizontal bar. We have got Josh Walker. First release, caught a little bit close there. And so these extra giants that they do here help them wind the bar up and make it move in a certain direction. So if you are doing releases, the bar swings you or flicks you up in the air in the right direction. Oh, just coming out of that one low.
It was a big fight then.
Try to cover it up with a stolder. And here he is moving the bar and then getting into that dismount. The double layout, full twist. It's a bit of aerial skiing there, up into the air with the twist layout and landing that bar. Although those aerial skiers go so high, that is next level.
That's a whole, aerial skiing's a whole nother sport, isn't it? It's incredible.
You think gymnasts are brave, but that takes it to another level. Looks like Igor, the coach, is doing a bit more warming up in the background than the athlete is himself. Coaches do have to throw the athletes up, or in most instances they do. On a rare occasion, a tall athlete would jump onto the horizontal bar by themselves.
It can be pretty tricky as a coach as well to get through the competition. Emotions are high. It's very intense. You're, a lot of waiting, trying to help your athletes stay calm, stay focused.
That's right. Well, we are back on the parallel bars here with Aidan Frick from Queensland. Fair bit of handstand into the giant. Front rise to calm his nerves. Onto the Healy. Beautifully spotted. Catches that very nicely, that blind catch. Nice swing. You can see the coaches on the side, they're getting in on the action. They're leaning left, right and centre. Cheering him on. They're riding the roller coaster routine. Set up nicely into the dismount and beautiful stuff. Coach Jack Coates. Couple of claps. And the judge presents to the judges. A bit of respect there to the judges and a bit of a thank you for all the hard work that they do. But beautiful routine there. That was so good. All right, onto the high bar. We got Nathaniel from Western Australia. Big release to begin. Forms that one nicely. Another release coming up, and yep, missed that one unfortunately. The gingy there. Igor underneath his coach. Takes a bit of an edge off the come down there. Just that little bit of pressure on your chest as you're floating towards the ground. It's
a big fall. It's a massive height that they're coming from, and they've got a lot of speed coming into that ground.
A lot of momentum, but the coaches do help you break that fall. Taking his time to restart his routine. There we go. Doing that at difficulty. Sneaks out of that into a stolder once again. The second athlete had a bit of trouble there. Into the dismount. And just pops out of that one. Bit of a big hop. And unfortunately, that misking throughout the routine is not going to help him tonight on the horizontal bar.
It's a bit of a short landing on that dismount there.
Yeah, he's sort of moving his legs around, a bit of a limp there. I think when you land with stiff legs, you can just jar the knees a little bit. Nothing overly bad, but it just lets you know the floor's there. And I think that's what happened to young Nathaniel on the horizontal bar, our last competitor on the horizontal bar. And that concludes our fifth apparatus. And the men's athlete will move on to their final apparatus. The women are good sport. They hang around and they make sure they cheer the men's athletes on as they compete in the last couple of rotations. They also do need to wait for the presentation, which is a good thing that they do. I know these competitions can be long, but the athletes stick it out, which is fantastic. A replay here on the parallel bars. Well, front. Nice. That's a stick landing right there.
Seen quite a lot of stick landings this competition, which is great to see. A lot of the time you get to the end of the routine, it's pretty difficult to put everything you got into controlling that landing, but It's great to see everyone's focus in that area.
Yeah, that's right. It's a juggling act between how much difficulty you put into that dismount versus going for the stick bonus. And sometimes you can do a double out on high bar with a full twist is 0.4 bonus. You do an extra twist, it's 0.5 bonus. So you can do the 0.4 bonus, stick it every time. You may as well just do that. You get the 0.1 bonus as well. So it gets you in the same place. But there's a bunch of athletes here who love that double twist on high bar. They'll risk it all just to see if they can stick that, because they're feeling sticking a double twist off high bar doesn't get much better than that.
Sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah. Here we are, Sean and Yubo helping out on the competition floor. Coach has been on the scene for a number of years, getting the pommel handles in the correct distance. The athletes to do their warm-up. Yubo from South Australia, previously coached at the Australian Institute of Sport. Had a hand in the upbringing of Philippe Rizzo as he became one of the superstars of the sport. Samuel Offord was also one of his proteges. Competed at 2 Commonwealth Games, 6 World Championships. He's on the tour for a while. Really great fundamental development coach for the younger boys, and we see that with a lot of the young guys that come out of South Australia, just having really good basics that the athletes can build on as they get older. And it's so important in this sport to get those basics dialed in at a young age, and then you can develop the skills in that apparatus. And Yubo is one of the finest coaches in the country to do that. I'd like to give a bit of a toot his horn tonight. While I can. There we go, save that one. Lucky it's only warm up. Just take it a little bit more relaxed, but Jesse is a very good pommel horse worker, one of the best in the country.
He's got quite a difficult dismount on pommel, is that correct?
That's right. He can work his way up and down handstand in that flare position. He did it on the floor exercise earlier, and he does it really well on the pommel horse, and so he uses that to his advantage and does a really big dismount on the pommel horse with that handstand position that you need to. Here's an example of it. Onto the one handle, up to handstand. And so you've got all that momentum, and then bang, you've got to change the momentum going from the circle into an upward momentum. Super hard to do, but
defying gravity, this sport.
That's right. The art of gymnastics is making hard things look easy, whereas our friends over in Cirque du Soleil, they make easy things look hard. And there's a big difference between that. Pommel horse, one of the quicker ones to warm up. Everyone can get in and out nice and easily, as long as the handles don't have to be adjusted too much.
We have Chris Remke's about to go on pommel.
That's right. He's making a comeback after a couple of year hiatus.
Very exciting.
One of the Yubo's proteges, as I was saying, coming out of South Australia. Great basics, and for a little fella, he can really work this pommel horse.
Chris has had world-class difficulty on a lot of apparatus. See what he's got tonight.
Starting with a simple check, but then here comes the one-hand recombination. Beautiful. Really travel from one side of the horse all the way to the other. Magia into the Salvato. Over the top of the handles. And up into the handstand. Transfer those momentum perfectly. And I didn't let you down, folks. He is back.
Next up, men's floor representing
Check the swagger walk off that podium. Well done, Chris.
as we wait for the judges to put together the scores, I think Chris made their life quite easy with that one. He didn't have too much execution deduction in that routine. It was quite clean, and he pieced it together nicely.
We've got Clay Stevens up next on pommel.
Yeah, unfortunately this is the only apparatus he is competing tonight. And here he goes. He is the all-round silver medalist from last year, but tonight choosing to only compete on the pommel horse. Into his scissor sequence. Off that up into the circle. Making his way across the pommel horse. And up into the handstand. A little bit of a wobble there, but all in all, a nice routine. Clay, once again, one of our most senior athletes on the competition floor. He's been in multiple World Championships and Commonwealth Games teams. And good to see him on the competition floor. Crossing over to the floor exercise. Victorian team on the floor exercise about to get started.
Up next on men's floor, representing Victoria, Nicholas Howard.
Green flag has been raised for Nicholas Howard as he takes to the corner. Men's athletes only have 1 minute and 10 seconds to complete their routine from when they take their first step. Time starts now. Full twist double phone. Oh, he's taken big fall there. Geez, how do you judge that? Is it 1 step? Is it 2 steps? Is it 3? It's
difficult.
But he's got to keep going. The time is ticking. So that
pull that triple around.
Triple twist. Same variation here, but the double twist.
It's got a lot of power. It's difficult to sometimes at competitions control that power. You've got to stay in those white lines.
That's right. Not allowed to walk to the corner in men's gymnastics. A little bit of a fact there. You have to use a bit of artistry to get to and from the corner. You can take a step as you turn, but if you are standing back to the corner, you need to do a little bit of artistry to make your way back into that corner. As he goes for his double Arabian, super low on the landing, but did not sit down, and that is good to see. He just overcooked a couple of those lines there, but hopefully he takes some learnings from tonight. And quickly onto the pommel horse. He's working these single handle elements, just building that difficulty. That is amazing. The difficulty of this apparatus is, you just can't overstate it. The momentum just needs to keep swinging from start to finish, and once you come off, it is done and dusted. Your arms start with 100% juice at the start of the routine, and then it's like the battery life on your phone expiring very quickly from the start to the end of that pommel routine. And as soon as the momentum goes in the swinging elements and the circles on the pommel horse, it's so hard to rebuild. You just hang on for dear life the rest of that routine. But he is back on the horse, up into the handstand. Short on that move there. Unfortunately, he won't get the full difficulty for that dismount. Here is Jesse Moore, preparing the pommel horse, getting the right distance, using his arms to see how far apart from the elbow to the fingertips those handles are. And once it's locked in, it's good to go. The worst thing about pommel horse, I have to say, is when you jump up and you do your first circle and you slip off, and then you're on the floor and you haven't even started your routine, you got to start from square one, and you've already got a fall in your pocket.
100%.
That is the worst way to start your pommel routine. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen for any of our athletes here tonight.
It is quite a similar apparatus to the WAG beam, isn't it? It's the same fear as making a mistake on your very first element, your first skill, and you've got the whole rest of your routine to go.
Yeah, that's right. Heath Thorpe on screen here. It's a difficult one. Everyone waiting for the judges. No action on the competition floor at this point in time. I know our crew are doing our best to jump between the apparatus, so we do give you some live action here. Heath Thorpe jumps up onto the rings. Not an apparatus he's well known for. He's not the strongest of athletes on the rings, but he does have that artistry, and he hits those L-sits, he hits those handstands perfectly. Beautiful toe point. Missed that handstand hold. Once again, you've got to hold that one 2 seconds. Try to not move the rings as much as possible. And into that double-double. I'll call it a stick.
I call it a stick. Give him the stick bonus.
It's a hard one to judge. I don't know how the judges do that. If your heels come off the floor, no stick bonus. But if your arms swing, is that no stick bonus? So it's a tough one. Just a new spanner in the works this cycle. And a new change is always hard to figure out.
Next on men's floor representing Victoria, Colin McIntyre.
So the rings apparatus is known for its strength, so static elements, you know, everyone knows the old iron cross, the arms out to the side, and super hard. And some athletes will just have a knack for it. They build their strength, whether their arms are slightly shorter, reduces that lever, makes the strength elements easier, or if you have longer arms, you're disadvantaged. So not only is the sport hard enough, but there's also little ins and outs like that, depending on how you are built. It makes it easier or harder. But here we are on the floor exercise.
Connor,
Side
delivery.
pass there, double twist, another side pass coming up. There we go, front half.
It's got lovely artistry.
Double back dismount. Finishes that one nicely. Beautiful stuff, coaches coming in, and the athletes to say congratulations. And I think that is most of the night done for the Victorians. We are on the Pommel Horse from the Australian Capital Territory. Blair Stewart. And we flicked over to high bar. Mitch Morgans, here we are. Big release there. This is one of his favourite apparatus, the old statesman. Coming in for a go back set. It was just too far.
Just missed that one.
It. You could just see it as he took off. It was too far over, and fingertipped it, but unfortunately didn't get his hands on it. Knowing him, he's going to go for it. Again, he'll repeat that skill.
Well, we've seen him been training some new skills back in his home gym. He's been doing some full twist in Jaegers, full twist into catcher, sorry.
That's right. The new code of points has changed the way that the combinations are and how many releases, how you structure your releases. So he's trying a few new things there. And into the Casina, that's Coleman, sorry, the full twist in Kovacs. Another Kachev. In the in-bar element, just reminding everyone how flexible his shoulders are. He does his double twist here, let's go.
Beautiful.
Oh,
just
the stick bonus.
Missed the stick bonus.
Yeah, the elevation in height and overcooked it a little bit too much. Had a bit too much energy, having that little rest in the middle of his routine. Too much energy for the dismount. But good to see him on the competition floor. I heard on the grapevine he is looking at joining one of the European tours later this year as a parallel bar and horizontal bar specialist, so hopefully he can get a gig over there and extend his competition life a little bit longer. Eli Pullen on screen here. He's the final competitor for Queensland on the horizontal bar. One of the up-and-coming athletes into the Queensland team. He's going through his final preparations. He's got a bit of a nervous twitch. I remember having a couple of those ones. Just couldn't keep my shoulders from standing still. Shaking out the nerves
out.
Just going through a couple of skills.
His cue words, like you mentioned earlier.
I think high bar, the horizontal bar, is the funnest apparatus to watch. The release elements are just, it's fun. It's fun to watch, it's fun to do. Best part at training hall, over the pits, and you could just try anything, and that was always a fun. You know, the only problem with high bar is if you hit it with any part of your body apart from your hands, it's not as enjoyable. Some fun clips there, but we see the other athletes and the other coaches helping each other out, whether it's sliding mats in and sliding mats out as you are in the air. It is a game of trial and error as you learn these skills. And Eli Pullen is starting his high bar routine. Let's see what release elements he's got for us this evening.
When we are doing the replace, we are going to do after that the replace.
Eli working his way through his routine nicely. Winds that bar up, double out, double twist. Lovely to see there. Great stuff from the young Queenslander. And that concludes the horizontal bar for the Queensland team. Plenty of high fives. And a great night of competition as the athletes do wrap up. We do have a couple of replays as we are finishing here on the rings. And he struggled with that kip slightly, using too much strength. And the hold. It's a combination of strength elements as well as swinging elements. So you've got to be super strong, but you're super nimble. And these rings just want to move away from you all the time. So you've got to pull them into your body closely, enhance them. You've got to keep them nice and pressed down to the ground so they don't take off on you.
Unbelievable strength.
And double back with a full twist. And if you do get it wrong and the ring starts swinging, it'll take you on a journey, and you can't stop the forward and backward momentum until you jump off those rings. So another example here. Jack Hall on the rings into that double front salto in a tuck position, double front salto in a pike position. And catching up in an L sit. It's hard enough doing a handstand against the wall, but on a set of rings that are moving,
keeping that grip at that bottom of the swing as well. The strength in this apparatus is
double back full twist.
unbelievable.
Nicely done there. And another replay on the floor exercise from the young Victorian. Great to see back-to-back routines. Double front salto, stayed just inside, flirting with the white line there. Double twist front layout. The combination bonuses in floor for the men, it's twisting elements into rotation elements is how you can combine. You can't do twisting element into a twisting element. Now the new code of points, you can do a twisting element and then a rotation element. So it gives a 2.5 twist there into a front layout. So the 2.5 twist was the twisting element, and the front layout was the rotation element with no twists. And that will get you your combination.
Keep things interesting, hey?
These code of points were designed for my type of gymnastics, but unfortunately, I can't do any of this anymore. There we go. Into that Y scale. A couple of variations of the scale we've seen here tonight, the Y scale or the reverse scale. Double pike dismount to finish out beautifully. And here we go, the 2024 Olympian, Jesse Moore on the pommel horse.
Beautiful one hand.
You can see when he does his circles, the elevation of his hips at the front is the key to this apparatus. And if you have the flexibility and momentum to get your hips up nice and high at the front, makes your pommel a lot easier. Slight leg separation there. Just building up that difficulty on that one handle. So hard to do.
You can imagine how his arms would be feeling tired by now.
Yeah. Only his dismount to go, and you said his arms are getting tired, and your commentator cursed there.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Ran out of juice at the end of this, and Blair Stewart on the pommel horse now as well. You can see the elevation of his hips in the front, as I was saying, of the swing right there. He kept that momentum going all the way up. Stuck dismount. Beautiful stuff. Fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our evening here at the Australian Gymnastics Championship. We kindly thank you for joining along, and also to our live stream partner, Sylvia P. Teamwear, for putting this on with Gymnastics Australia. Thank you for joining us. And Georgia will be here in 2 nights, Saturday 6 p.m. to go through the individual apparatus final. Thank you for your time as well, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a good night and good evening.